Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. This week, I am delighted to introduce you to my friend Linda Marsanico. She writes and blogs about love, compassion, playfulness, visualization, meditation, and stillness as a road to a joy-filled life. She is a psychologist and spiritual coach who looks at the whole person. Linda embraces coaching techniques with a spiritual focus. She considers herself to be a healer, employing Reiki, vortex, and integrated energy modalities. Linda has developed a training program which follows the philosophy in her book, The A Train to Sedona. She gives specific guidance to those who wish to develop a spiritual practice and to follow a conscious spiritual path. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you so much, Kristy. I am so happy to be with you tonight.
Well, we're delighted to have you on. I love your bent on compassion, and I heard you say that compassion is magical.
I feel that it is. And I want to say something about, before I talk more about the magic of it, I think of love, compassion as one. They're soul sisters. And I compared it in a blog to a hard boiled egg. So in the hard boiled egg, you have the yellow and you have the white. You can describe the yellow separately and the white separately. But if you take one away, you don't have the complete egg.
Mm.
We need to love ourselves first so we can love others, and we need to have compassion for ourselves before we can have compassion for others. And when I think of the state of compassion, I'm working on it all the time. It's I think a life journey. The body is at rest, the immune system is at full throttle, and we get to a point of which is called 0 point, which is described as stillness with creativity, a paradox. And through that, we are able to transcend to the higher levels of our DNA.
Mm.
And that excites me to think of that possibility. That's the magic of compassion. And, with compassion and the breathing and being in the present moment, we can accomplish so much. I call us broadcast journalists. We create the energy and then we broadcast it out. Everybody feels it. I think most of us know what it's like to walk into a room and we feel the negative vibe,
Oh.
or we feel a really positive vibe and we want to go there. So energy, we feel the energy.
Oh, definitely. I can name pretty much any room, like a grocery store, standing in line, and the person behind you you can feel it when they're aggravated or angry or something, or the other way around too.
I remember walking in New York City with someone behind me who had such a high toxic level that I could feel pushed out of the way.
Oh.
So we feel it, and even if we don't recognize it, we're feeling it anyway because we are energy beings.
Oh, absolutely. We feel it. Yes. Yes. That's something when it's that palpable. You hope you get the good stuff that's that palpably, because I feel so good. Well, obviously compassion affects our energy, everybody. Like
Yes.
both taking it in from
Hmm.
others and then giving it out. Have you ever had the experience of shifting into compassion when there's something negative around you and being able to elevate that energy?
I don't know whether I have. Have you had that experience, Kristy? I'm very interested. I know I've deflected into compassion. And it's said that, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. Lee Carroll and Cryon talk about deflecting into compassion when we have a negative situation. And then the Holy Spirit makes a lot of very powerful energy from it. It's called the third energy. So I'd love to hear your experience.
Oh, well, I just have a funny little thing about being nice to everybody through my day, even if I'm grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always feel like, the person at the, I think jobs like checking at the checkout counter in the grocery store and stuff like that, I think those are hard jobs.
Yes.
And so it's like just to be nice. And I've seen people shift from being cranky to when they see me come into the store in a future time, looking at me and going, like, she's there. And because they know I'm just, when I come up to them and they check out, that I'm going to be nice to them.
Yes.
Even if I'm grumpy, I have to. So I think that's what you're saying about deflecting it and kind of shifting it with the compassion. And
Yes. I had my cousin told me of a story. She was in a supermarket and she bumped into a woman who became very upset. And she said, "I'm so sorry." And the woman melted with that sentence. And there's that ripple effect.
mhm.
We share a smile, we put our hand on someone's shoulder to comfort, and it gets passed along.
Yes, yes, it pay it forward. It does. It gets paid forward. It does. You never know where that ripple's going to go.
That's why it's important to choose love over fear. And we have many opportunities to do that. We interact daily. Think of the many interactions we have. And when we choose love, we choose this. When I say love, I mean love and compassion.
Yeah.
We choose a powerful emotion, a powerful energy. Now, when we have these interactions, sometimes we have a reaction. If it's a negative something, there's going to be a reaction. And it's an opportunity to ask, what does this say about me? Because our spiritual journey is all about us. What does this say about me? And what can I learn about myself? And so, with that, the journey is an inward journey. We ask, we go inward, and we really want to get to the loving core that is inside of us. And that's where Creator exists.
I love that. I think, we've talked a lot about how trauma has covered up. So there's so many layers that we get. That core gets, it's like being under a bunch of blankets
Yes.
and peeling them away and starting with self-compassion. I love that you said that. That is a big deal.
There's a whole lot being said about trauma. And it was Candace Pert who discovered the opiate receptor in the brain. And then she also talked about the neurons, not only the peptides, not only going through the brain, but going through the whole body. And she said the body is the unconscious. So I want to say that when we have something happen and we know what it is, we have an experience. We can deal with it, we can pray about it, we can work it through. But when we disavow it, we send it to the body. And if we keep on doing that, we start to get aches and pains, and eventually we have a disorder, an illness.
Mm-hmm.
So letting go of what doesn't serve us is so really essential.
Absolutely. Not practicing. I'm not going to look at that because then I've heard it said trauma lives in your tissues.
It does.
And yeah, that makes sense to me. What you just said, that how it can turn into a disorder or a disease or both. And that is a really, really critical thing. We have to first look at ourselves and take responsibility for that. It's like maybe we couldn't control that situation, but we can control our reaction.
It's so important to be able to step back and ask, how do I want to respond here? And to choose to be loving. And, sometimes we fail at it. And I have a story to tell you. It's in my book. I was living in a condo, and there were 3 families. And the third floor couple got pregnant, and they put their carriage right in front of my door. So when I opened my door, I saw this carriage. And I asked them, could you please put the carriage in the lower vestibule? Could you put it in the upper vestibule? They refused. I asked the wife, I asked the husband separately. We got nowhere. Now, should this happen now, I would offer to move the carriage. But I was less evolved. I was angry. We were just in conflict for months. So, Kristy, I think an angel must have whispered in my ear. I decided to recite an affirmation. I am a bodhisattva, which is a Buddhist affirmation. I am on the path to enlightenment. So I would come home from work, see the carriage, and instead of being angry, I would say, I am a bodhisattva. I am a bodhisattva. Repeated, I am a bodhisattva. And they moved the carriage.
I love that. I bet it didn't take very long after you shifted.
My interpretation is that they felt the loving energy and they moved in love and they moved it.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about that is that they may not have known what they were feeling, but it works anyway. It doesn't matter if they know.
That's right.
I know people try to explain it. It's like, you don't have to explain yourself. Just make that inner shift and it will shift on the outside as well.
Yes. We're constantly, with the shifting into love versus fear, we are creating this wonderful energy that is felt by everyone. And we are really the change that everyone would want to see. Most of us would want to see. But
most of us do want to see that change.
Yes.
Contrary to whatever they show on television, which just don't watch.
Right. Of course, we fail. Sometimes we fail at it. And I think it's so important to be kind in the way we speak to ourselves. So, I failed at the carriage until I could listen to the angel speak to me. And I fail at other things as well. So when I do fail, I know that I'm going to have many opportunities. Universe, because I have this intention set, because we have free will. And nobody's going to help if we say, no, we don't want help. But as soon as I say, help me, I get help. So lots of these situations come in for me to practice, not to be punished, but to be helped to grow. And it makes me think of a very funny story. If anyone knows the books Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch, in one of the books, Neale says to God, I don't want to deal with this. And God said, Neale, don't worry. You could take 10,000 lifetimes. So Neale said, he said, I think I better deal with it now.
Yeah. Do you really want to go through 10,000 more lifetimes dealing with this exact same thing? Well, I'm kind of thinking like, I think sometimes people imagine that if they're acting compassionate and kindly, they're being a big marshmallow and people are walking all over them. But I think there's a big difference in that. I mean, I think you can be assertive and be kind without being aggressive and rude. So what do you think about that?
I think that assertion is a necessary skill that helps us on the road to compassion. Let me define what I mean. Assertion is my getting my needs met while respecting the rights of others. So I assert, I let myself be known to my family, to my friends. And in the acts of assertion, I let anger, it breaks it up. It breaks up the anger so that it doesn't grow big and ugly. And I think we're compelled to assertion because we want to be known. A lot of us want to be known. We want to be real. And when I know myself, I have more ability to be self-loving and compassionate. Now, when I'm assertive, it doesn't mean I'm always going to get what I want. but I have voiced my truth.
Mm.
And that's very important. To
Yes, it
voice
is.
is important to us. The energy changes. Somebody may not grant you your wish or shift their behavior, but they know that you've said what you've said.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to go away feeling I didn't express myself, I'm grumbling, I'm unhappy. No, I've said it. And when I am assertive, even though sometimes it's very challenging, afterwards I feel relieved.
Oh, yes. Yes. I think the feeling of why didn't I speak up is
Mhm.
worse than the feeling of, oh my gosh, I have to speak up and I'm having this fear reaction, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Because when I feel afraid, I know the direction to take right through the fear.
Mm,
That we know. When we have these interactions that we're having and we have this reaction, this is something that we can learn from. We know there's work to be done. And when we know it, we can set out to understand it more and work in ways that enhance ourselves.
yes. Yes. Oh, fear is the enemy of it's just the enemy. It's so choosing love over fear if you assert and use your voice and
Yes.
speak your truth,
Mhm.
you are choosing love over fear by doing it with kindness.
Yes.
And a lot of it is internal fear that is just like been programmed into us or put upon us. It's not
Mhm.
even real.
Mhm. It could come from childhood where a family doesn't value assertion, where people don't speak about what is in their heart. There are many families like that. And I think it's a skill that's essential, like learning how to swim. It's one of the tips in the book. When I wrote the book, I went back and I thought, let me put tips in, concrete posts, so people can find an easy yellow brick road, so to speak. And assertion is there, and having an attitude of responsibility and an intention to be on the path. So when we have that, we're really making every effort to be consciously going through our days. We have something happen, we don't have to disavow it. We can have the experience and work on it and know its effect on us and do the work.
That is so important. I honestly, doing the work, it's, you know, the narcissism thing is it's all about me, is all about controlling everyone else around you. But really, it's all about me, is about me doing the inner work on myself and
Very much.
acknowledging and facing it and whatever it takes to work through it and let it go and forgive myself and have compassion.
Forgiveness
And
is so important
yes,
because if
yes.
I don't forgive, I'm holding it against myself as well as someone else. And
Yeah.
I speak to myself about this and my clients as well. We have like a range of motion. I don't think the camera can see me. So I have this wide range of motion. But when I start disavowing and repressing things, I take away the joys as well as this disavowed something. And I don't have that range of motion anymore. It only
Mm.
goes just so far. So it's handicapping.
It's that just makes so much sense. And then your body, and then that range of motion, all of a sudden you don't have the range of motion in your body either because it's locked into some part of your body, and you're like, oh, my shoulder hurts,
It
and
can be.
it never occurs that, oh, wait a minute.
And I was remembering part of a blog that I wrote a couple of summers ago. I was in the gym. It was very early in the morning. Now, the gym is air conditioned. I opened the door. It couldn't have been later than 8 a.m. And a wave of heat slapped me in the face. And I thought, whoa. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to brace against this heat. I'm going to go with it. And it felt like my molecules just opened up. So I crossed the street, and I crossed the street again, and I heard a bird singing. And I thought to myself, I would never have heard that bird singing that beautiful song if I was grumbling and complaining about how hot it was at 8 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a beautiful moment, a joyful moment. And that really speaks to when we are not in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
when we have a situation where we resist or we brace because we're going into either the past or maybe the future or in a part of ourselves where we're not present. And when you think of the word present, it also means gift in the English language. So to be in the present is one of the biggest gifts of compassion. And
Yeah.
that's magical.
Oh my gosh. Like your bird story. I think everybody can think of a time when they just took a breath and just relaxed for a minute, and then something, and it could be something like a bird or the sound of the ocean or the rain is falling outside, and turn off the TV and listen. And
It,
yeah.
it's a nature is beautiful. Some years ago, a long time ago, I used to go I live near Prospect Park in Brooklyn. It's a beautiful park, trees and grass and just meadows. And I would go in with my headphones and but I wasn't hearing anything. So then at that point, which is kind of new to me, I had a telepathic message which said, leave the headphones home. And so I left them at home, and I could hear the birds. I could smell. I could the beautiful fragrance of the trees and the flowers. I really could take in the park and
Mm.
my run and people who were around me.
So it not only awoke your hearing, it awoke all of your senses.
Yes, yes. And to
Wow.
this day, when I'm in the park, I don't put any device on.
Mm.
Whether I'm riding my bike or walking, I attend. Now, my voice, my thoughts might go and drift, but I do want to come back to the present moment. And it was Marianne Williamson who just inspired me. She said on one of her meditations that the present moment, I sort of think of it like this. We're in linear time, but in the present moment is the juncture where we meet the voice of Creator. So I think of it like this, all these possibilities like this. One of the
Yes.
gifts of compassion and being in the moment.
I love Marianne Williamson. That's amazing. I like that imagery of like if you're in the present, and it does feel like a pause. It does feel like a pause. Like you're not just rushing forward, you're taking a pause, and it does feel like things can download. And
Oh, uh, absolutely.
so meditation is all about relaxing into the moment, even if you only have 5 minutes. So what do you think are the benefits of how can this all tie together with meditation or prayer, whatever word? I'm not attached to words, whatever people want to call it. It's okay with me. With this building the compassion and letting go of the fear. And
Meditation can be done in 2 to 3 minutes. So if I'm starting, I could start in 1 minute a day or 1 minute every other day or several times a week. Meditation at first gets me out of my thinking mind. So I'm sitting in a quiet place, all the devices are off, and the mind drifts, and I bring it back. So I'm getting out of the thinking mind. And then I can relax. As I get deeper, I go into what is called a multidimensional possibility. And at those times, it doesn't happen all that often because lately I'm very distracted by so much that's going on. But when I'm really in a deep meditation, I can receive a communication from Creator, which is so profound that it's one of the deepest benefits of meditation. Now, meditation has a lot of research that's been associated with it. It positively affects the prefrontal cortex and so many other aspects of the body. Now, in breathing itself, in the breath, we get to bring in, engage the parasympathetic nervous system to soften and quiet the sympathetic nervous system. So it's a great benefit. And over time, we can really build up a pattern of breathing. Now, prayer for me, I talk to Creator all day long. What do you think about this? Oh, I'm scared about this. But I want to move into love. And thank you so much for this. At times, I might use a childhood prayer, but it's all about right here, right now. Thank you for your help. And what do you think about this? And when I pray, it reinforces my feeling connected in my faith and in that I'm connected with everyone. The being on the path is an adventure, really, and it reminds me of how we are so connected. When I first closed my eyes, my sister gave me a book on yoga, and I was sitting on the wood floor of my living room. I closed my eyes, and I felt I could see universe in my third eye. And I thought, oh my goodness, I am connected. We are connected. It was like an epiphany, just epiphany. And with prayer, it reinforces that because things happen and we think that people could be different. People may look different, but we are all children of God.
Yes.
We're all in the fabric of Creator. And knowing that is it brings me peace and it reinforces my compassion. And so prayer does that for me.
Yes. I had a friend called me today and told me a very tragic story about a young man who was very abused. And he's only 15 and it's very tragic. And that it's hard to go to the love automatically for people who are abusing children.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can shift into that, everybody chooses their path. And so this is a hard road that they have chosen. And, that's a toughie because it's much easier to judge all that.
Yes.
And especially, when you're a kid person like I am, being a former teacher and everything.
A teacher, yes.
Yes. So, this is huge. This conversation is huge. I know you have a gift for our viewers. Can you tell us about that?
The title of the ebook is Compassion in My Own Words. It's a compilation of blogging for the first year. It's funny, and the message is how to move toward compassion rather than anger or fear. Again and again, about 45 different blog posts.
Wonderful. That's inspiration for helping us. Oh, if you can let go of that, then I can let go of this and take a breath. I love that. That's a wonderful gift. Thank you.
Thank you.
So everybody download your free gift from our guest, Linda Marsanico. And Linda, how can our viewers find you if they want to reach out?
Yes, I have a website, lindamarsanico.com. You can also email me at lindamarsanicopHD@gmail.com, and I'll respond.
Wonderful. And you're in Eastern time?
I am.
Just so you know, people, if you're on the West Coast, she's ahead of you. So just so you know well, I hope you will come back and talk to us again. I think this is an enormously important topic. And I thank you so much for sharing with us today.
I would love to come back. I agree that it is huge. There are so many complex tidbits that lead to other realities that need to be discussed. And I would love to do it.
And also, where can we find your book, The A Train to Sedona?
May I show you a picture?
Absolutely.
The A Train to Sedona can be found at Amazon, at most retail outlets, Walmart, uh, Barnes and Noble, and several others. On my website, I have a page by the book, by the A Train to Sedona, and they're listed on that page. You can also order it from me, and I can autograph a copy for you and
Ooh.
mail it out directly if you'd like.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Linda, very much for coming. Okay, everybody stay tuned. Coming up next is Kids Corner.